All right, so let's talk about Ghost Stories. I rented this on Amazon. It's a movie that's been on my radar for a while. Just haven't pulled the trigger on it because I'm watching so many other things. Blah, 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 blah. The main reason that I wanted to watch this movie originally when I saw that it was announced, released, was Martin Freeman. As you guys know, if you watch my channel enough, I'm a big advocate for the Hobbit trilogy. I know a lot of people disliked it or outright hated it, thinks it is an abomination, whatnot. I will defend that trilogy till my dying breath. I think it's a fucking blast. So maybe a video for another day. But yes. So I threw this on, and now this is an anthology film, pretty much. And here's something, I'm a big anthology fan. So here's something that you'll never ever hear me say about an anthology film. So that's rare, so listen up. This is the only anthology film that I've ever seen to my memory. I could be misplacing one, where I didn't really care for any of the segments, but really enjoyed the wraparound story. That never, ever happens. Anthologies are all about their segments, and the wraparounds there just to tie them together. It's just there to support the gimmick that is the anthology. Like, okay, we're gonna have like 3 or 4 or 5 short stories, and we need something to bridge those together. So let's just write this real quick. Rarely are the wraparounds in anthologies even all that good. I mean, you have some, like Creepshow or something. Those, I love Creepshow's wraparound, but the segments are what you go to anthology, so that's what you want to see. That's the meat of it. But not here. The meat of this film is in the wraparound. That's bizarre. The big problem I had with the segments is really honestly nothing ever happened in them for me. Yes, it's slow burn, atmospheric stuff, and I'm not some fucking dullard who only likes stuff that's being thrown at the screen every 5 seconds. That's not me. I love slow burn horror. There's tons of slow burn horror that I love. I mean, shit, people tell me all the time when I bring up Ty West's The Innkeepers that nothing ever happens in that movie or whatnot. I love that movie, okay? I can sit there and watch slow burn horror. There's plenty of other examples I'll give, but that's one that constantly gets talked about by friends of mine that are like, I just don't understand how you like that. And I'm like, because it has an ending that leaves it open to be able to watch the film in 2 completely different mindsets, and they both work. I love it. I love the characters. I love everything about it, but it's very, very slow and very little happens. But so that's not something I'm against at all. But okay, so here's the premise. So this guy is a debunker of supernatural claims, which, man, I'd love to have that job. There's actually a guy, he's like 83 or 87 or something. He carries around a check for $1 million, and he offers it up to anybody who can produce a supernatural sound element, whatever, that he can't reproduce. And he's never given the check away, and he's been doing forever. So, that'd be me. I'm the skeptic till skeptics end. I don't believe in shit. I say that all the time, but it's true. Probably why these movies don't scare me, because I'm like, yeah, right, that would never happen. I can disconnect myself from it because I don't believe in it. But regardless, so this guy is a skeptic, and he goes in, he debunks these people, and I mean, it starts with this guy who's being a psychic, like what, John Edwards, that was that freaking fraud, right? Who goes in and he just tells people, and he's wearing like an earpiece, and he's telling this woman like, oh, I have a connection to your son. And some people can see that as a good thing, like, oh, well, he's just helping them out, like it's the grieving process and they need something. Why are you such a monster, and why do you want to take that away from them? And it's like, because I want people to be grounded in reality. I guess I'm just a jerk off like that, and that's kind of what this plays with a little bit in the movie. So it's kind of speaking to a mindset like mine. But now the guy does this show that does, he has a show that he disproves people on. And he does this show because he has an idol. And his idol was this guy who went back and he debunked stories in the past. And then he went missing years ago. He became a mystery himself. And so he gets a cassette tape and a picture from this guy many years later. He's very old now, and he tells him to meet him at his place. He's in secret, hiding, whatever. And so he comes to his place, of course, going to meet his idol. And the guy's like, I've seen your work and shit, and you don't know what you're talking about, and we've been wrong. And he hands him this folder, and he says, disprove these. Like, he gives him 3 cases, and he's like, you'll see what I'm talking about. By the end of this, you won't be able to prove any of these wrong, and you'll be a believer like me. Great premise. I'm all about that kind of stuff. I love it. Last Exorcism is a perfect example. Cotton goes in to show people. He has this camera crew following him around to show people that exorcism is a hoax, that it's bullshit. Of course, that's not. I don't want to give spoilers for that movie, but I love that premise. I love that. Like, okay, this is gonna make you a believer. Another awesome movie that does that is The Possession of Michael King. I love that movie as well. Okay, enough movies here. Get so off track. But he sends him to these things, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, these people are going to have, irrefutable evidence that something's going on. And all it is just them telling him really slightly kind of ish interesting, not really boring to me, stories. That's it. Ghost stories. And he's like, disprove that. It's like, disprove somebody telling me a fucking story? How could you, what? Like, that's not even semi-proof. So that was annoying me. Yes, okay. I'm going to get into spoilers here in a minute because I do want to talk about the film, but like, I get where it goes later in the movie and it doesn't really have to apply, but that just annoyed me because the premise is cool. It sets itself up for something and it never delivers on it. So I became very disinterested. After the first story, I was sitting there like, I can disprove that right here. I don't even need to be there. Like, he said a story. Okay, I can tell you any story off the top of my head. Disprove it. How do you know you weren't there? Isn't that the argument of all creationists? How do you know you weren't there? But they claim the Bible's real. How do you know you weren't there? They don't see the irony of that. Anyways, okay, so I want to get into the spoilers of this anyway. So, honestly, I would like fast forward through the first 2 segments. Like, do the wraparound stuff. You can fast forward through the 2 wraparounds. The third wraparound is okay, and that's mostly because Martin Freeman's in it. But then once that one ends, I was really into it. I want to say I loved the last like 10, 15 minutes, however long it was, the last bit of it, that connected to the wraparound was like the ending of the wraparound, the wraparound of the wraparound. I thought that was interesting. It was at least something was happening. Cool stuff was happening. And I was like, all right, cool. Finally, we're doing something. But all the rest, I could have done without. So yeah, let's get into it. Spoilers from here on, guys. So we get this really cool opening title sequence is like kind of boom on the screen, and then we see a bunch of numbers, which I figured would probably play into the film, and it does later in the movie. Those are the numbers that the kid is calling out in the sewer tunnel as he's walking through. That's kind of the numbers that have been plaguing him and probably put him in this state to where he wanted to take his own life. I do like that the movie starts off with this guy saying, like, it was my father's religious beliefs that destroyed my family. I definitely have met people like that. And another thing he says is, he said, we have to be so careful of what we believe in. Oh man, do I support that statement heavily. We have so many issues today because of beliefs, okay? Not facts, beliefs, people. Ugh. And so, yeah, this psychic is a piece of shit, man. He's just preying on desperate people. I don't blame these people for being gullible. Okay, they're distraught. They're broken because they've lost a family member or whatever, and no one wants to believe that their family member that they love so much and they think so highly of is just gone. Like, that's it. They died. That's especially when it comes like to kids or something. You never want to believe that people are dead. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you what happens or doesn't happen after the afterlife. I am not arrogant enough to even pretend to know. But of course, wherever people can be exploited for some kind of gain, people are going to do it. There's just people out there with no morality, and they'll take advantage of anything. And they have throughout history. And this guy is going out there and pretending to be a psychic and talking to this woman about her dead kid, right? Yeah, the kid. How could you do that to somebody? Like, yes, and as I said earlier, people could be like, well, he's doing her a service. He's making her believe in something. It's comforting her. Okay, I guess if that's the way you want to see it, but I see it as a total fabrication for your own gain. You're not doing it because you care about these people. Maybe that's a byproduct of it. Maybe, but no. Anyway. So yeah, he goes to the guy. I like how his hero tells him his shit is garbage. I was like, oh my God, you imagine? You did all this for this? And then nothing. So the first case, I do also like how the guy's like, I need you to prove these for me. I need it. I don't want to believe in any of this shit, which ends up all not meaning anything in the end. But so case one, Tony Matthews, creepy girl in the basement. Okay. That's like all that happens. Like, he walks around just atmospheric, which is fine, but he just walks around and he just shines a light and he sees the girl, and then he comes back and he's like, yeah. And I was sitting there like, is there more to that story? Like, do you have evidence? And he even says it when he goes to like the priest or whatever in the second one, and he's like, he says like he has no physical evidence. Like, what the hell? I don't even know what the hell. And then the priest, even after his dumb story that does nothing, what even happens? He doesn't even have a story. Sorry, he just talks to him about that, and then the priest is all angered, like, why do people have to doubt in the supernatural? It's like, because there's no evidence to support it. Probably. I mean, why would we doubt in it? Why the fuck do you think? Okay, so then case number 2, Simon Rifkind, who ends up being like the doctor in training, like a doctor doing his residency. He hits some kind of creature out in the road. It looks like the depiction of like that whatever the fuck that animal is, like the goat or whatever the hell, it like stands up on 2 legs. Like, it's always used in satanic art. I can't think of what the hell that thing's called right now. But yeah, he sees that thing, and then it like gets in the backseat of his car, and it's like, don't leave, and he like runs out of his car, and then the thing attacks him, and then the guy's just sitting in his room all scared, and it's like, okay, that's it? That's your proof? You told me a story? All right, creepy story, I guess, but do shit. And this, I don't know, just the atmosphere of it wasn't all working for me. Maybe because I built up the expectations of what I wanted. I wanted to see proof. I wanted to see like tangible evidence. I wanted it to start unfolding. And I didn't think we were going to get stories, even though the name of the fucking movie is Ghost Stories. I thought he was going to go to these houses and the stuff was going to be going on in the houses, and he was going to have to be in the house and be like, wow, that is crazy. I can't explain that. I don't know what's doing that. No, it's just fucking stories. I don't know. That pissed me off for some reason. So then we move on to case 3, and that is, Mike Pridle, whatever, Martin Freeman's character, and some weird stuff happens in his baby's room. And he sees like some medicine form into like a little totem-looking thing. And then he sees a baby with a sheet. And then he sees a woman in the corner, and she runs at him. Another story. Okay, and I didn't. That one was fine. That one is the best of the three for sure. The atmosphere and that one was a little better, and mostly because I like Martin Freeman. So it was okay. I was just like, okay, that was fine. But yet again, just another story. But then he goes up and he blows his fucking head off, and I was like, oh man, that would be shocking. I mean, it doesn't prove anything. It proves that he's out of his mind and he shot himself. I mean, as sucky as that is, I'd be like, well, I mean, still doesn't prove shit. And then he goes back to confront the guy and be like, everything you showed me is so easily provable, like nothing. Like, and I'm sitting there feeling like him in that moment. And so the guy grabs his face and rips it apart. And it looked like Martin Freeman under that makeup from the beginning. So, and I was like, is that Martin Freeman? And I thought that's who Martin Freeman was going to be. And I thought that it was just going to be a flashback of his life and we'd see Martin Freeman. So I think it was Martin Freeman under the makeup the entire time, right? Because it looked like him in the beginning. I was like, isn't that Martin Freeman? I don't know. And then we ripped it off. I was like, oh, so it is him. Okay. Which I was like, so is this and that? I don't know. And then it's like, oh no, he's like the ghost of Christmas past or something. And he takes him and he rips the RV apart. And this is when things actually got visually cool and it made you start thinking. And then he takes him out and this, you know, we get little glimpses of things here and there that are from his past, showing us that he's kind of living with guilt, resentment, whatever, and he sees that this kid, he goes like, sees back into his mind about him. Okay, so here's where I'm lost on this. This kid's getting bullied, right? This guy's a total dick, and he's bullying him, and so this other kid comes up who is a vagrant or something. He's mentally ill, so he's a homeless person now. I don't know. And he tells him like, hey, I'll let you be in the gang. And it's like bullying someone who's mentally handicapped or something, which always frustrates me. I was so angry during that moment. Like, leave the fucking kid alone. I'll kill you. But he sends him in there and he's like, if you can read out the 10th number, then you can be in our gang. And he tries to talk up and he's just like, shut the fuck up. And he lets him go in there. And even his buddy, he's like, all right, man. And he's like giving him the look, kind of like, that's enough. And the guy's just like, I'm going to pound you if you come out of there. We're not going to let you out of there. And the kid goes down in there and has an asthmatic response because he's scared or whatever. How is he asthmatic and a homeless person? Does he have his asthma medicine on him? I mean, he put the bag down. So maybe he's just poor. We don't have anything to complain that he's actually this. So that bag that he set down, I'm going to have to guess had his asthma medicine in it. But so he goes in there and he suffocates, like because of his asthmatic response to his fear, whatever. Okay, like how did that have anything to do with the main character? Like he was just sitting out getting bullied. He was having this kid hold up a fucking bottle to his face that he was going to break in front of his face. Then this kid comes up and he wants to do this. And he goes in there. I mean, yeah, it's not right, but he goes in there. It's just a sewer. And he goes in there and he dies. What did he do? He didn't do anything. So I'm not sure why this is. I mean, he feels guilt. I mean, I can see that. I've met people who feel guilt over weird shit. I went on a date with a girl once. It was a really weird date. I want to call it a date. She made me meet her at her house, and she like was naked when I got there. It was. I mean, that sounds great, but trust me, it didn't end up great. She like sat there and she just cried the whole time. That a couple hit her while she was driving. Like she was just driving, and a couple like smashed into the side of her and killed themselves. And she was sitting there. She was bawling her eyes out, like I killed them basically by existing, and that's what I got out of her. I'm like, wait, are you upset because? Like, if you weren't there, they wouldn't have crashed into you. And they, like, I'm like, was it your fault? And she's like, no, they hit me from the side. And I was like, I understand that it sucks that they died and they hit you. And I can see how that could be a blow to you mentally. But to beat yourself up for existing? And I'm like, if they didn't hit you, they probably would have hit the wall or anything else. Like, or somebody else that night. You didn't like get in your car drunk and smash into them unless she's leaving something out of the story. But she got very angry with me and told me she wanted me to punch me in the face. There was more to the story, a little bit more. She told me something else and I wasn't having any sympathy for that either. I said something really fucked up. I tend to do that. My mouth gets me in trouble a lot. It really wasn't that fucked up in my mind, but she saw it was. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of that situation where I'm like, this kid didn't do it. Like, he just like sat there. Yes, he was complacent, I guess. I don't. And then he goes and he tries to kill himself later on in his life. He can't deal with the guilt of it. It's like, he didn't really do anything. Now, if he was the kid who was bullying him, unless I missed it, unless they were like, no, you were the kid that bullied him and pushed him in there, then yeah, he's a fucking asshole and he should feel horrible. I mean, pushed him in there and he had an asthmatic response and he died. It's not like he killed him. He just was like, here, go in here. I've done that. I've dared my brother. I've dared friends to go into scary ass places before. I mean, I haven't threatened violence on them if they've done it, but we've crawled down sewer tunnels before, like storm drains and stuff. And we went down there. If I went down there, if my brother went down there and died down there of an asthmatic response, I mean, I wouldn't know he was asthmatic, obviously, but at the same time, like, I mean, it's not really my fault. Not really. I mean, it sucks. I don't know. And as I said, he didn't even have anything to do with it. So I wasn't really feeling the guilt, the weight of the guilt, but I guess I just see things differently. And then, yeah, so he like goes and he we see the kid who's in the hoodie who's haunting him, and he like rips away something, and it's like a mental institution, and he puts him in a bed. And it's not a mental institution. That's what I thought it was going to be at first, but it isn't. He's just in a hospital bed, and we find out that he tried to kill himself. And of course, we have the Wizard of Oz thing going on here, where all the people from his stories in his mind are actually people that he's interacting with daily. He's the janitor, the main doctor, Martin Freeman's character, and the doctor in residency. Those end up being the three counterparts to the stories that he's being told. And yeah, I thought Martin Freeman coming in and like laughing about the fact the guy tried to kill himself and didn't pull it off and was now a vegetable, and he was like shotgun to the head, that's the way to do it, like, and laughs, and that's, I mean, obviously how his character kills himself in the story. I thought that was really fun, the way he delivered that line. It was so dicky, like. But doctors deal with that kind of stuff all the time. They have to have grim, freaking, senses of humor. Like me, that's how I deal with terrible things. I make fun of them. It's just how I process things. Not because I'm an asshole. Well, that's debatable. But I don't think I am. I just deal with the horrible things in a comedic way. So I get that. So yeah, all right. So I think I've talked about. Oh, I do like the scene where Martin Freeman takes he rips the skin off, and then he like goes to fix his hair, and it's kind of like in reverse, and his hair actually styles itself once it was all messed up. That was a cool effect. I liked that. It's just being played in reverse. It's super simple, but it was cool. I liked that. But so pretty much everything from when he walks into the old man's house until the end was fun imagery, and something was going on. It was exciting. But outside of that, the rest of this movie, it wasn't really doing anything for me. I think I've talked long enough about this, and I've probably went off on way too many rants here, but that's how I do things. I think I got everything. I don't really give a shit. All right.